subject for you on YouTube. So glad that you joined. Today's subject is the way to guarantee success and prosperity. Guarantee. Guarantee, yes, that's right, guarantee. I want to talk to you about something, and we're going to use several terms, several words. First, I'm going to use the word autosuggestion. Also, autosuggestion is something that we know that Napoleon Hill taught. Autosuggestion is something that's in several of my books. In my book, Barry Buster book, is autosuggestion is how to get in that. What is it? What's the effectiveness of it? How do you transition it? How do you bring about change? The other aspect of and where I wrote about it is in pioneering success, and that's going to be a reprint and change the name here soon. But you can still get it, pioneer, become a pioneer of success. You can get it on Amazon. But I want you to know that this is extremely important, that you learn how to work with autosuggestion. You learn how to put yourself on autopilot to reach the place that you want to go. Now, right now, as a pilot, I don't have autopilot, but I do have an ability to set my course and set my course in direction. And when I do, I need to stay on that course. There's not a lot of variance that is available to you as a pilot. You need to stay on course, stay in your lane, stay where you have to go, and keep your trajectory. Now, that's extremely important when you're building success, when you're building a business, when you're working with a team, whatever you're doing in life, in achievement, you need to make sure that you're able to set that course, keep that course, and really stay focused. Now, one of the things is that we think focus should be all mental. I'm going to stay focused. I'm going to stay focused. I'm going to stay focused. When the reality is you can set your focus and then set it on autopilot. You can set it on autopilot, and we're going to teach you how to do that in just a moment. So if you could benefit from being so focused as if it's autopilot, if you think about that, you think about the Bruce Lee, who was, I would imagine, I never fought him, but I watched plenty with Bruce Lee. Wah! I watched plenty of Bruce Lee. That, as you can tell, I didn't learn anything. There's my limbs went flying all over the place. But I watched plenty of Bruce Lee movies to think this guy actually has this built within him, and he has the ability to bring about any effect that he desires with his body in this martial art that he has. Now, that's important to know, because it's not something that he just woke up one day and had. It was autopilot, right? It was auto suggestion that took over because of repetition. Now, there's two ways you can actually increase in autopilot, or this auto suggestion is repetition, and the other is meditation, which is also a form of repetition. Repetition that is physically working it, physically doing it. You learn by experience in doing it and doing it. And then you can learn by meditation, by giving yourself the same image over and over, the same image and the same words. The way you dial in your auto suggestion, the way you dial in your autopilot, the way you lock in that kind of focus is you have to give your brain, your psyche, the same words and the same pictures. Pictures and words are extremely important when you're framing your future. So what words are you using to frame your future? And what words are you using? What pictures are you using to frame your future? A lot of people think, well, I'm going to be positive and I'm just going to say the right words. I'm going to say the right. Well, positive is great. But what you're really doing is you're priming the pump of your imagination. You're priming the pump of your thought process. You're priming the pump, and you're getting everything that is airy, that's too much air, that's bubbly, out of the way. You're really just kneading that dough, cookers, and you're kneading the dough of your brain, of your thoughts, of your emotions, and you're getting all of the excess out, and you're focusing and locking in. Now, that means your actions are going to change. You want action to happen. The actions are the key to the results that you want. And so if you're not getting the results that you want, is because you're not giving the action that's necessary for those results, which really brings you down to the focus, attention that you're giving. If you're not giving the right attention and the right focus to the action that you're supposed to have to get the results that you want, then you're not going to actually have the results that you want. No matter how much you wish upon a star. I wish upon a star. I wish I knew that song. I don't. But if you wish upon a star, it's not good enough. You have to be a person who's literally giving out the action. And how do you do it? First of all, you have been created by God to function a certain way. Your body functions a certain way. The reason doctors can be scientists of the body is because the body is systematic. It's a system. It's a system. The reason psychologists can be psychologists or science of the brain or of the mind or of the human psyche is because it's systematic. And if you don't know how to use the system, then you don't know how to move forward in the way God created you. So use the system. We use the system on how to fix everything, but we don't use the system on how to go forward. I'm a coach. I'm not a psychologist. You come and you sit with me. I'm not going to be sitting there now. Tell me the story for 15 years. I'm not doing that. We're getting you past it. We're going to dial into where you need to be. We're going to give you the right strategy, the right focus, the right activities, and the right accountability to keep you moving forward to that goal. Because the realization is you don't need to tell the story again. Sorry, people. You don't need to tell the story again. Action is the greatest physician there is. Get your body moving and you'll feel healthier. Get your mind moving and you'll feel healthier. Get your life moving and you'll build relationships that are healthy. Bring people along with you and they will love going with you, right? So it's important that you realize that everything that God created is a system. Everything. Oh, I'm just this kind of creative person listen. The most creative people in the world are making things happen. That's why you can see their creativity. The person who's just floundering around, not doing anything, they're not really creative, because creative people bring things into the existence so other people can see it. So don't use the creativity as a weak point. I want you to know that creativity is a strong point. Your creativity is your ability to see what is possible, what could happen. So use that. What could happen if I did this? When you think about a Walt Disney, I love Walt Disney in its original form, in the man that he's teaching and taking these creatives and he's saying, listen, I want you to use your creativity and I want you to put it out. I want you to dream. I want you to see, but we're going to put it on. I'm going to use the term like a football field. Like a football field. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a system for your creativity. There's going to be an out of bounds. Don't go outside of these boundaries and you'll be fine. And you got to move the ball forward. Don't be running backwards. You got to move the ball forward, and you can pick any kind of play you want to go forward. What kind of play would you create? That's what Walt Disney created. He created a safe place for creatives to be safe and create and think. So if you are running into trouble and problems with being creative or having this direction in your life, I want you to know it's not because you're creative. It's because you're not disciplined with systems. So be disciplined with the system of creation. Be disciplined with the system of creativity. Now, going back to auto-suggestion, your auto-suggestion needs you to be creative. Your meditation needs you to be creative. Your ideas need a womb to land on so that it can actually grow. Your ideas are needing the place to grow. And so you give your ideas to yourself over and over and over and use the system that God created. God created you to be someone who figures out problems. God created you to be someone who takes action on those problems. God created you as someone that is going to solve the world's problems. The ills of the world can be solved if we give ourselves to the right meditation. So there's the key word, auto-suggestion. Before we get into meditation on auto-suggestion, then we're going to dial into this idea of metacognition. Metacognition is how our brain works at the lower levels. We know that, Facebook has changed to Meta. We've had for years in our web pages metadata that was underneath the visual, working at the lower places, the lower regions, and the search engines captures the metadata, and that's how they draw you to the attention of people. So there's embedded data. And so metacognition is the same kind of thing. It's underneath your thinking. So the best way to deal with metacognition is to think about your thinking. So when you're thinking on something, ask yourself the question, why am I thinking about this? Where is this leading me? Am I thinking about the thinking, right? What am I thinking about what I'm thinking? Why am I thinking this? So the reason it's important that you tap into the metacognition is because your biology will tell you that something's wrong before your brain catches up with it. So your brain is working at this meta level. If you're in an imposter syndrome, a lot of people use the term imposter syndrome. If you're in imposter syndrome, or if you're in a situation where you feel uncomfortable, you start to sweat, your hands are sweaty, you start to feel uncomfortable, you feel awkward and out of place, It's because you haven't given your brain enough references for that place. So your body's saying, get out of here. You don't belong here. And the reason your body's saying, get out of here, you don't belong here is because the metacognition, the metadata in your brain says you're from I don't know. I was going to say, you're from Puyallup, Tracy. You don't need to be here. This is not what people within Puyallup that was raised in the farm and stepping on cow patties. This is not where you're supposed to be. You're not supposed to be doing this. Who do you think you is? Right. And then your metadata at the bottom, the lower regions of your brain is saying, get out of here. So your body starts to go, I've got to stop doing this. I'm crazy. I feel uncomfortable. This is not me. When actually it is you. You just haven't been giving your brain enough information to set you on the right course and the right emotional wealth and the emotional well-being to say, this is me. I feel good in this. This is how I live. When I first started as a pilot, I mean, I wasn't a pilot. I was a passenger in a plane with an instructor. I'm like, okay, instructor, if I do something wrong, I'm so glad you're here. Don't let me crash. Shoot. And there was a point I'm like, ah, it was like my hands are like, this is the wind's blowing and the turbulence is going, and I'm like I'm in control of the machine. I'm the pilot in command, and I'm like, I have no command over this. And then I finally, weeks in, I'm like, you know what? I'm a pilot. I need to stop thinking like a passenger. I'm the pilot in command, and I need to now take command of this plane. And I need to stop allowing the plane to be in command of me. And I need to stop allowing the waves and the wind to frustrate me. Because the fact is that's what this rides on. This is a wind instrument. This thing is a wind vehicle. If the wind freak you out, then you're not going to fly the vehicle. It's not a ground vehicle. It's a wind vehicle. So be on the wind. Come on, use it, right? And so when I had to change my mind, I had to give myself to meditation. I have to give myself to the understanding of how it is. Now there are certain things that are functioning in me that literally are now so piloty. So pilot. My pilot voice is in, right? It's just so piloty. I love it. But the realization is I had to give myself to the framework of it. I had to give myself to the thoughts of it. And I had to spend time meditating. I had to spend time seeing myself as the pilot in command. I had to see myself without my instructor. I'd see myself soloing. And so what am I going to do now if I'm by myself in the plane? I had to know exactly what to do. Not the first time. I have to know what to do the whole time. So it's important that you give yourself the right pictures and the right words to work on that metadata that's beneath the surface of your thinking. And when you give yourself the right pictures and you give yourself the right thinking, then you get the right feeling, and feelings always lead actions. I know it sounds weird, but we do what we feel. We don't do what we're supposed to do. We do what we feel. So we need to learn how to set the right thinking so that we have the right feeling that gives us the right actions that give us the right results. The wrong actions are always the process and the product of wrong thinking and wrong feeling. Wrong thinking and wrong feeling. So if you're in a situation and you feel uncomfortable and you're sweaty and your hands start to sweat and you start to feel out of place and you feel discomfort, that is because the metadata inside of you is working against the cognitive data, which is you're in an environment that says, this is where I want to be. But your brain, your lower parts of your brain, your subconscious mind is saying, this is not where you belong. And it doesn't mean I don't belong there. It just means I haven't told my subconscious mind, this is where I'm going to be. And I need to tell it all the time, more than enough. I need to tell it all the time. I'm going to be here. This is where, and so I need to give the picture, and I need to give the language. I need to spend the time dialing my metadata, and I need to spend the time thinking about my thinking. That's what the cognition, metacognition is. I'm going to think about my thinking. What's cognitively happening? Why am I thinking this way? Why am I feeling this way? And then what do I need to do to change the feeling and the thinking? So now you have to see yourself in that place, meditate walking in that place, you're talking in that place, you're learning the language, you're actually encountering it before you get there. And you spend the time with the suggestions in your brain and automate those suggestions until they become you. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, the Bible, actually, the ancient way of meditation is actually found in the Bible. And it's extremely important that meditation is associated to thoughts and not associated to getting rid of thoughts. There's some meditation, Hindu meditation, other meditations out there that teach you to empty your mind, to empty your brain, get everything out. Now that is going to leave you as an open door and open source. So you don't want to just get rid of thoughts. You want to actually give thoughts. You want to feed thoughts. You want to feed your brain thoughts. You want to feed your brain pictures, and you want to feed your brain words. You want to feed your brain scenarios that you walk out and that you talk out and that you do. So when I'm working with someone and they want to go to their next level, I'm saying, okay, let's talk about that next level. Not, well, I just one day I want to be. No, we're not talking like that. We're going to talk it out. And I want to show you in the scriptures. Actually, the Bible says in Joshua chapter 1, verse 8, it says, the book of the law shall not depart from your mouth. Now, so this is talking about the word of God. I think the first healthiest thing is to meditate on the word of God, meditate on the Bible. Before you meditate on anything, you say, well, there you are religious. Well, I'm not trying to be religious. I'm trying to be principled based upon how the world works. Now, if you realize the book of the law is not the word law, it's the word principles. The book of principles. Principles of what? He tells us later that the book of principles, the principles, don't let this book depart from your mouth. But you shall meditate in it day and night, that you may observe to do. So this is the book of principles that's going to teach me to do according to all that is written in it. For then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have good success. So the book of principles of doing success and doing prosperity. Now, this is extremely important that you get this. The book of principles of doing success and doing prosperity. The way to guarantee prosperity and success is to make sure that you're capturing the higher thoughts. Now, everybody knows when you spend time with someone who is doing what you don't know how to do, you're spending time with them and you're capturing the higher thoughts. Now, one of the things that we do wrong in spending time with people that are wealth creators, spending time with people who are intelligent, smart, brilliant, and what they do is we have one-time conversations with them. Well, I'll never see them again. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you have a conversation with them, write down as much as you can, record if you can, think about it, go away and let that conversation come back to you again and again. Take the principles of that conversation, muse them out, meditate on them, and come to that higher way of thinking and the higher way of living, because their concepts are now going to be in you. I realized years ago, I don't need to know everything that a person knows. I just need to know how they came to the thought that they know. How do they think? What's their psychology? And when I'm spending time with people, I'm thinking about their thinking, not just about what they're saying. And so when I write down what they're saying, I'm going back and I'm thinking about their thinking, because if I can rise to their thinking, I can rise to their doing. Does it make sense? I rise to their thinking, I rise to their meditation, I rise to the same thoughts, the same principles, and the same end results. Woo, come on, somebody. I want you to know that this is important. So don't just have a single conversation with people. When you have that conversation, take that conversation home with you. Meditate on it. Write it. Keep it as notes. Think about it. Drive it into you. Make sure you take it and you go, I'm going to use this. How am I going to use this? I'm going to use this. And most of the time when I get something, I receive something that's really powerful from someone, the best way for me to get into the psychology of what they're delivering, not just the information, but the way they think, how they came to those thoughts. I ask a lot of questions because I want to know. I'm not asking questions just to be a good conversationalist. I'm asking questions because I want to know they came to this thought, and then I go, how did you get to that thought? Where did that start? What was your past? And then they tell me the whole life, and I'm going, okay, I see it. I got I know the frame of your thinking to get to this. Now I take that frame of thinking and I bring it into my meditation. I bring it into my understanding. Now I'm meditating on higher thoughts. The whole point of the book of principles is that God knows how everything works. He knows how everything works. He knows every level and every dimension of prosperity. There is not a shocking idea in the earth that is ever shocked God. There's nothing there's nothing that Elon Musk can come up with in the next season, and he's done amazing things that he can come up with. And God goes, gosh, I wish I would have wrote that in my principles, because we're not looking at the exact line item of achievement, but we're looking at the psychology of how to come to achievements, how to make things live, how to bring things into existence. Once you know how to do that, you can do it on any frame, any grid, any level, anytime. Oh, shaka. Okay, you guys, I'm looking, I don't know, I can't see you YouTubies, but I want you to know I am feeling so much energy, and I have some Zoom waves going on here. You need to understand that it's extremely important that you dial in meditation. So what are we meditating on? So you're going to meditate on the book of principles. That's one. And if you say, I'm not a Christian. Well, let's start off with meditating on higher thoughts, higher thinking. My first approach to the Bible was not because I was a Christian. It's because a wealthy man said, if you don't know the Bible, if you don't read the Bible, you're not going to be prepared for wealth. And I thought to myself, well, I better read the Bible. And that's how I came to reading the Bible. Before I ever accepted Jesus as my Savior, I read the Bible. It was a man by the name of Bill Britt. He says, if you don't read the Bible, you're already losing in success. Now, this was a city planner that went on to be a networker that had, very, very wealthy, had a massive amounts of people that were working with him. Well, I was like, I want to know what this guy knows. So his psychology was to read the Bible. I went to the Bible and I found success in the Bible. And there's a lot of success in the Word of God. And so as a principle, as a book of principles, as a book of just principles, there's doing, and then there is the realization of guaranteed success. So let's go on. So one of the things, the word that is that's used for meditation there is the word to muse. To meditate on it day and night. So let's get in this place of what you're going to do. You're going to muse. You're going to muse. Now, a person can be your muse. You can, they inspire me. But you're now going to muse. Muse means to mutter, to speak, to articulate, verbally articulate. Now, when you're meditating, meditation is not just silent. Silent meditation is great for clearing your mind if that's what you're going to try to do, but don't do it. Don't clear your mind. It opens up doors. You want to keep doors shut to things that don't need to be there, and only give your drawing pad to the imagery you want to live in, right? What you want to live in. So if you're going to meditate, put in front of you a picture of how you're going to live, the house, the car, the airplane, whatever it may be. Put that in front of you, the kind of business. I'm a 7-figure earner. And not just these numbers, but what does it look like? What does it look like? And so we'll get into that in just one moment. We have a few more minutes here. So I want you to know the first thing is you're going to have to muse. Another part of this word, the Hebrew word muse, is to growl, to utter, to mutter, to meditate, to devise, to plot, to speak. So make sure that the part of this is speaking. You're speaking. So when you're speaking where you're going, what you want to do. So I'll say to someone, what does it look like to be the owner of that company? Or what does it look like to be a millionaire? What does it look like? Well, a millionaire means I have lots of money to do whatever. No, that's not what I'm talking about. So when you wake up, what are you going to do? How does a millionaire wake up? How does a billionaire wake up? Well, they wake up and they go to brush their teeth. Okay, what kind of toothbrush do they use? What kind of toothpaste does a billionaire use? What kind of coffee does a billionaire drink? Or do they drink coffee? What is that? And so we start to dial in the details, the critical, crystal clear details of their daily actions, of their daily habits. And as much 1 minute to 1 minute transitions you can change making that. What I mean is second by second commentary in communicating. Don't speed up the day. So if you're going to take 15 minutes, what's these first 15 minutes going to be in your life, right? You're going to try to be as accurate to the time as you possibly can because you need to spend the time doing it. So you're going to spend some time. So you may not be minute by minute, but you're going to do your best to really give detailed, crystal details. What kind of coffee maker you're going to use? What kind of, this is what I do when I'm asking questions. I'm helping a person with their auto suggestion to move them into billions, to move them into millions, to move them into hundreds, whatever they're moving into. One gentleman, I had to help them from stuttering to not stuttering. Well, what does it look like? And from labor to management? Well, his thing was just to try to stop. He wanted to stop stuttering. Well, I had to give him more cognition than just stop stuttering. I had to give him a position to be in where he could not stutter, where stuttering was not a part of the job description. So from a machinist, someone who's working on a big rig, to someone who's now managing people, he needed to go from a quiet room to a communicative room, a room where he can communicate, and he couldn't be there stuttering. So we broke his stuttering by auto-suggestion. We broke his stuttering by meditation. He no longer studies. It broke because we had to go step by step. So give yourself as much detail. What does it look like to be a manager, leading people, a team of people? You have a sales team. What does it look like? What are you gonna have meetings? What are the meetings like? You can't have meetings like that. So you have to see yourself no longer stuttering. So when he saw himself no longer stuttering, he saw it. And it worked at the metacognition, the metadata, worked on his metacognition. It became a word that I'm going to throw out that I'm not going to be able to get into maybe this week, but I'll get into another. It became meta. It became meta. I had it from metacognition to an impartation. Metadidomy, which is the same word meta to didomy, is the impart or gift. It became a gift, a place of gift to him. And now he is walking in that gift. So we have this ability to grow, and you have to give yourself the right information. Sorry about that. All right. So important. So Philippians 4 says this, finally, brethren, whatever things are true. So this is now taking us into the principles a little bit deeper in what we call the next testament, the New Testament. So it's the finally, brethren, whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good report, if there is any virtue. So now this is now changing the perspective that the principles, the book of principles is going to wants me to focus on true, on nobility, on just, on purity, on loveliness, on good reports, anything that is virtuous and anything that's praiseworthy. I'm now going to meditate on these things. This word is meditate, same kind of word, but it's more in the cognition side of it, to reckon, to account, to be an accountant in this and say, okay, I reckon that this is how it's going to be. Right now, this is beautiful to me because, sometimes, my daughter, she'll say, I reckon. I'm like, where'd you get that word reckon? But the reckon means this is what it's going to be. This is what in all accounts, 1 + 1, I reckon to be 2, right? It's accounting, and it brings it to this place. So when you have this kind of logic is the word, that word meditation is logic revolving. It brings you to this place where you have a very concluded, very concise perspective, idea, and finish line. I reckon that, and it's there. Now you're going to give yourself to the meditating of it. So it's mental and musing, right? Mental and musing. So keep it in your mind. Give your mind the right pictures, and give your mind the right words. If I say to you, I say to you, elephant, you're going to get the picture elephant. Don't get rid of the picture elephant and replace it with the words. The word is supposed to give you a picture, but the picture also should give you words. So what words you feed yourself and what pictures you feed yourself, give yourself a daily habit and action that's going to move you to that. And I'm not going to give you the next portions of this, but I am going to encourage you. Find out exactly what you want to be, who you want to be, and then go through this process. Go through the process of auto-suggestion, giving yourself the right information. It's going to change the references. If you feel uncomfortable, you feel like you're out of place, it's because your references are completely not aligned with where your feet want to go, where your brain, your mind, you want to go. So you got to work at the lower level, the metadata level, to get your metacognition aligned so that your biology doesn't talk you out of it. Now, when I say biology, I say sweating and all that stuff, but the fact is your biochemistry is working in your brain. Your brain is giving signals to run, fight or flight. And so you don't want those things. You want to get rid of fight and flight. When one of the things that's extremely important, when you're doing something that's life worthy, that your whole life is going to be given to, is you want to get rid of all of the adrenaline. You want to get rid of all of the cortisol, adrenaline, all of that kind of hype. Get rid of that. You can get motivated, but when it comes to decision making, it's not emotional, it's cognitive. And so you want to make sure that all of your peace, all of your comforts and strength. And do you need motivation? You do. But there's nothing more motivating than action. Action is the best motivator. And feelings are going to lead me to action. So I want to make sure that I'm directing my feelings and not my feelings directing me. What does that mean? I could be emotional about it and go, yay! And then I'm going to putter out 3 weeks from now, and because I don't have the skill set of maintaining that kind of emotion. But if I have worked at my meta level, I'm constantly motivated. I'm motivated. Woo! I'm a motivated person. I don't wake up going, whoo, I'm the happiest person to be awake. I'm a night guy. I like to stay up until 2. I get my writing done. I get a lot of stuff done at late night. I wake up in the morning. I'm like, okay, we got to go to business. We got to do it, right? So that's fine. But my emotions are not in control of me. I have to have feeling, but not emotional. Does that make sense? So I'm feeling like an achiever. I feel like an overcomer. I feel like a media mogul. I feel like a person who owns masses and masses of media all over. I'm not just a YouTuber or a person on Instagram. I own platforms, right? So that's what I feel like. That's what I'm doing. And I'm going to continue to build more and more platforms. Going to buy sound stages and going to be a pilot. And I am a pilot, and I'm thinking about a certain kind of plane that's now a different kind of plane. I'm going to pilot my own plane, right? I'm going to do all of this because I have it in me. It's who I am. It's what I am. It's what I do. And I'm going to raise up 1,000 millionaires. And I'm going to raise up probably, at least 100 billionaires. So I'm excited about this. I'm going to write more books. 13 books is great. I have at least another 13 in me, right? So I have all of this in my data, though. I've been putting it in there. And so, when you see yourself in a thing, then you start to move towards that thing. And the motivation is not emotional. The motivation is a feeling of achievement, of accomplishment, of peace. It's not emotional. You want to stay focused. Hopefully this has been helpful. If you've enjoyed this, go ahead and like and subscribe to this channel. I'm here always putting up stuff. I got reels and